Have you ever looked at him and wondered how he can seem so calm, so distant, while you're breaking inside? Do you question if he's already moved on, if he ever truly felt the depth of what you shared? You've cried, healed, journaled, and searched for answers. Meanwhile, he says nothing. He disappears into silence. And that silence can feel more painful than any goodbye. But what if his quiet wasn't indifference? What if it was a scream you were never taught how to hear? In today's video on the Spiritual Universe channel, we're peeling back the layers of this silence. We'll explore what truly happens inside the heart of the divine masculine when he appears to walk away. You'll learn why his pain rarely shows on the surface, how his emotional breakdown hides behind stillness, and why his spiritual awakening often begins in silence, not with tears, but with a soul-deep collapse. This is not about blame, it's about understanding the language of his suffering and the sacred transformation that unfolds when no one's watching. By the end of this video, your entire perspective will shift. You'll stop seeing his silence as rejection and start recognizing it as a call for compassion. You'll begin to understand the invisible weight he carries, and perhaps you'll feel less alone in your own healing. Because when you understand the pain you can't see, you begin to release the pain you've been holding. This video won't just offer insight, it will open a doorway to deeper empathy, healing, and spiritual clarity for both the divine masculine and feminine. Number 1. Stillness is not strength. He looks calm. He seems composed. He might even be smiling or joking, showing up for work, or engaging in casual conversations as if everything is fine. But don't be fooled. He's not okay. Beneath that surface lies a storm of unspoken sorrow, confusion, and emotional weight that he doesn't know how to express. The masculine has long been conditioned to appear strong, to maintain control, and to suppress any signs of vulnerability. He was taught that crying is weakness, that screaming in pain is unacceptable, and that breaking down is a luxury only others can afford. So he doesn't. He stays quiet. He holds it all in. But that silence doesn't mean peace. That smile doesn't mean healing. He wears his pain like armor, not because he's fearless, but because he doesn't know how to take it off. His stillness isn't a reflection of inner balance, it's the echo of everything he was told not to feel. Inside, he's burning. Every wound he never acknowledged, every emotion he never named, continues to smolder beneath the surface. His emotional restraint isn't strength, it's survival. It's how he copes in a world that never gave him the space to unravel without judgment. Meanwhile, the divine feminine is often seen expressing her pain through tears, through journaling, through seeking help and healing. Her path, though just as painful, is more visibly vulnerable. But his pain hides in plain sight. His wounds go unseen because they're buried under silence. That contrast creates a dangerous illusion that he's fine because he doesn't show his suffering. But the truth is, stillness can be a disguise. It can be a mask worn by someone who's forgotten how to scream, or worse, someone who was never allowed to. So if you see him silent, don't assume it means he's healed. If he's distant, don't mistake it for indifference. His silence may be screaming louder than words ever could. His stillness is not his strength. It is the very sign of how deeply he's been taught to suppress his soul. And behind every quiet man who looks fine might be someone who is falling apart in ways no one ever sees. If this message resonates with you, if you've ever sensed that someone's silence was hiding a storm, take a moment to reflect. Sometimes, the strongest people are the ones who suffer in silence because they were never given permission to feel out loud. If you've witnessed this in someone you love, or within yourself, share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice might be the echo someone else needs to hear today. Or simply type, "Stillness is not strength," to affirm this truth and send a wave of compassion into the collective space. And if this speaks to your heart, please like the video and subscribe so more souls can find this healing. Let's continue deeper into the hidden layers of the masculine journey, because what comes next reveals even more of the pain he was never taught to name. Number 2. When silence becomes a scream. When a soul begins to awaken, something powerful stirs beneath the surface. The heart cracks open, not in a gentle unfolding, but in a raw, soul-deep rupture that floods the masculine with emotions he was never taught to name. He's not indifferent. He's not cold. In truth, he's feeling everything all at once, but has no safe container to hold it. That's why he runs. Not because he's careless or heartless, but because he cares so deeply that it overwhelms him. He doesn't know how to carry the weight of that care. He doesn't know how to cradle the tenderness that rises in your presence. So instead, he retreats. His silence is not empty. It is filled with everything he cannot say. It's not that he doesn't feel. It's that the feeling is so vast, so consuming, that it paralyzes his ability to speak. Each memory of you, each dream, each sudden pull in the energetic field, it's like a tidal wave crashing through him. And because he cannot swim in it, he chooses distraction. He drowns not in numbness, but in avoidance. You may see distance, detachment, and indifference. But what you're really witnessing is a man trying not to collapse under the intensity of what he feels, but can't put into words. His silence is not the absence of emotion. It is the loudest scream he doesn't know how to release. It's a heart cracking open in secret, a love too big to be spoken. And it's in that silence where his inner war wages, between the part of him that wants to protect himself and the part that longs to surrender to you completely. Number 3, a hidden collapse. For the masculine, this journey doesn't begin with understanding, it begins with upheaval. When his soul is stirred awake, it doesn't offer him peace or clarity. It throws him into emotional chaos. There is no roadmap for the intensity he feels, no guide for how to process the tidal wave of emotions that suddenly crash through the structure of his carefully guarded life. Instead of feeling safe in love, he panics at being seen. He mourns the years spent living half asleep, numbed by routine and disconnected from his heart. The love he feels for you doesn't bring immediate comfort. It demolishes the walls he spent a lifetime building just to survive. So he hides. Not because he's empty, but because he's overflowing. He retreats not from you, but from the unraveling that your presence ignites. You are the mirror he wasn't ready to look into, the one that reflects back all his unhealed wounds, buried truths, and forgotten dreams. He's not running from love. He's running from the collapse that love would demand. To open to you would mean surrendering to a level of vulnerability he doesn't yet know how to hold. And yet, the collapse is happening anyway, even in silence, even in distance. It's not a loud or visible breakdown. It's quiet, internal, and persistent. Bit by bit, his old self is crumbling, layer by layer, belief by belief. What once felt like control is now dissolving into confusion. What once felt like strength now reveals itself as emotional armor. This hidden collapse isn't failure. It's the sacred unraveling that must happen before he can rise in truth. Imagine a man who seems to have it all together. He wakes up every day, goes to work, keeps his schedule, makes people laugh, and plays his role with precision. To the world, he appears stable, strong, unshaken. But inside, he's quietly falling apart. One evening, after receiving a message from you, a simple, heartfelt message, he doesn't respond. Instead, he puts his phone down and stares at the ceiling in silence. That message, filled with love and softness, struck something deep within him. It reminded him of what he's been suppressing, the ache of missing you, the guilt of pushing you away, the fear of being truly known. Tears well in his eyes, but he doesn't let them fall. He distracts himself with music, with scrolling, with anything that helps him escape the feeling. You may think he doesn't care because he didn't reply. But in truth, your love reached the parts of him he keeps hidden, even from himself. And in that silence, he is collapsing quietly, not from indifference, but from the unbearable weight of feeling everything and not knowing what to do with it. That is the hidden collapse. That is what love often looks like in the masculine, an inward implosion disguised as distance. Number 4, the emotional labor he bears in silence. You won't see his pain in the ways you're used to recognizing it. He doesn't cry in public, doesn't send late-night messages confessing how much he misses you. The masculine's pain takes on a different form, one that hides in plain sight. It looks like diving headfirst into work, staying busy so he doesn't have to feel. It looks like emotional withdrawal, like avoiding eye contact and skipping vulnerable conversations. It looks like him pretending nothing ever happened, smiling in group photos, posting inspirational quotes online, and laughing with friends as if he's untouched. But beneath the surface, he's unraveling. He doesn't talk about it, but he feels everything. He feels your absence in the quiet moments between meetings. He hears your voice in songs he used to ignore. He replays your words when the world slows down, trying to make sense of it all. His heart aches, not because he's detached, but because he doesn't know how to process the connection that shook his foundation. His silence isn't coldness, it's fear. Vulnerability, to him, feels like losing control. And so he chooses to disappear. Not because he doesn't care, but because caring that deeply terrifies him. His emotional labor isn't visible. It's the weight he carries while showing the world his most polished self. It's in the effort it takes to push feelings down, to smile through the ache, to function like nothing's wrong when everything inside him is shifting. While the feminine might cry, write, or reach out, the masculine internalizes. He isolates, hoping that distance will somehow dull the impact. But the truth is, he's not indifferent. He's overwhelmed. And in that overwhelm, he retreats into a silence that speaks volumes. If only we knew how to listen. Number 5, the mirror of truth. You weren't just another connection. You became the mirror he never asked for, but deeply needed. The one that reflected not just his light, but his shadows, his wounds, his unlived truth. And that's why it hurt. Not because you caused him pain, but because you saw him. You saw through the masks he had spent a lifetime perfecting. You saw the longing behind his strength, the fear behind his silence, the vulnerability buried beneath his pride. And to be truly seen, when the world has conditioned him to hide, is one of the most terrifying experiences a man can face. He wasn't lying when he said he wasn't ready. He wasn't trying to mislead you or play games. What he was really saying is that he wasn't ready for the kind of transformation your love required. Because this wasn't about romance, it was about rebirth. You didn't offer him comfort, you offered him truth. And the truth, as soul-shaking as it is, demands a death of the old self. It demands the crumbling of everything he thought he had to be in order to survive. Your presence was an alarm clock for his soul. It shook him from the numbness, from the half-life he'd been living. It woke something ancient and powerful within him, a call he cannot unhear. And now, even though he may try to return to the safety of sleep, the truth of who he is and who he's meant to become won't let him. He's at war, not with you, but with the parts of himself that cling to the past. The battle you don't see isn't apathy, it's resistance. He's wrestling with the truth you've awakened, and that war is raging quietly, invisibly, inside his heart. He may appear distant, detached, or even cold, but in reality, he's burning from within. Your love cracked him open. And now, the pieces of him that once fit so neatly into his former life no longer make sense. You didn't break him. You revealed him. And even if he doesn't have the words for it yet, his soul knows that you were never the threat. You were the mirror, the one who showed him who he truly is, and who he has the power to become. Number 6. Section 6. The death before rebirth. His awakening is not the serene image often painted by spiritual teachings. It's raw, chaotic, and disorienting. It doesn't arrive with a halo of clarity or a sudden sense of peace. It begins with collapse. It looks like everything he thought he was, everything he spent his life building, starting to crumble beneath him. The masculine you once knew, the one who operated with composure, control, and calculated distance, begins to unravel. His identity, long held together by detachment and logic, can no longer contain the emotional truth rising from within. The scaffolding of his former self, built on self-protection, survival, and fear of vulnerability, starts to disintegrate. He is not falling apart because he's weak. He's dissolving because the false self he wore no longer fits the frequency of love he has encountered. What you may perceive as distance, silence, or avoidance is not rejection. It is the recoil of a man who has touched something too deep, too real, too transforming. He's not in control anymore. And for someone whose entire sense of safety has been rooted in control, that's terrifying. This is the spiritual death that precedes rebirth. It demands more than just letting go. It asks for a total surrender of who he was. The illusions must die. The belief that love can coexist with emotional numbness must die. The story that connection is possible without inner transformation must be buried. He cannot be reborn without passing through this fire. He cannot meet love in truth while still clinging to the armor of the past. His resistance, therefore, is not a door slamming shut. It is a soul trembling before the threshold. He is not pushing you away out of indifference. He is retreating into the shadows because the light you bring exposes everything he buried. And yet, deep within that darkness, something is stirring. The breakdown is not the end, it is the beginning. The path to union begins not with knowing, but with unknowing, not with strength, but with surrender. And in the sacred unraveling, the masculine begins his true awakening, not by rising, but by first falling. So if you find yourself wondering why he changed, why he grew silent, or why everything seemed to collapse, remember it had to. Death always comes before rebirth. And the man who emerges from this storm will not be the same one who disappeared into it. He will be real, he will be awake, and he will be ready, not just for love, but for transformation. Number 7. Your role, divine feminine. You feel it all, the pain, the silence, the unbearable distance. The energy shifts and the absence stings, and you wonder if it's your fault, if you should do more, say more, reach out again. But beloved, this is not your cue to shrink, to chase, or to abandon your own center in pursuit of his. This is not the time to prove your worth or to rescue him from his own becoming. This is your sacred invitation to rise. Your power lies not in persuasion, but in presence. Your role is not to save him, but to embody the love he's still learning to hold. You are the anchor, not the lifeboat. You ground the frequency of divine truth, not by convincing him of it, but by being it. You don't need to dim your light to meet him in his shadows. Instead, you become the light that helps guide him out. This journey is not about waiting in pain, but about choosing alignment again and again. Choosing to trust what the soul knows, even when the ego doubts. Choosing to stand tall in your knowing, even when he cannot meet you there, yet. Your inner union is the lighthouse that calls him home. It's not about showing him the way, but about becoming the way. He may not have the strength to face this love yet, but you do. And that strength does not come from effort, but from surrender, from honoring your truth, from refusing to chase what's already yours on a soul level. When you stop trying to pull him forward and instead choose to stand firmly in your own healing, your own wholeness, you become the frequency that transforms everything. So breathe, rise, radiate. Let your energy speak the truth he's afraid to hear. Trust the connection, even when it feels invisible. And remember, his absence is not proof of your unworthiness. It is a reflection of his own journey. Your presence is not a demand for love. It is a declaration of it. Stand in that truth, divine feminine. That is your role. That is your power. Before we move forward, take a moment to truly sit with this truth. As the divine feminine, your power is not found in reaction, but in remembrance of who you are and what you carry. You are not here to chase love, but to embody it. How does this message resonate with your own journey? Have you felt the shift from needing validation to becoming the anchor? We'd love to hear your reflection in the comments. Share your thoughts below or simply type, "I am the anchor, not the rescuer." Your voice may be the reminder someone else needs today. Number 8. His journey to self. He disappears, and all you're left with is silence. No message, no closure, just a door quietly closed. And in the absence of answers, you wonder, why didn't he fight for this love? Why didn't he stay, explain, or try? But the truth is, he isn't running from you. He's running from the version of himself that he no longer recognizes. He's running from the expectations, the masks, the illusions he's carried for so long. He's running from the man he no longer wants to be, but doesn't yet know how to become. This journey he's on isn't one of rejection, it's one of reckoning. Becoming the man who can hold love, who can show up with presence and truth, is not a decision. It's a sacred unraveling. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a long, difficult walk through emotional fire. A soul-deep process of grieving everything he's lost, everything he pretended to be, and everything he buried in order to survive. He has to confront the pain he never spoke about, the shame he never admitted, the wounds he never knew were still bleeding. Love didn't just touch him, it cracked him wide open. And in that cracking, the transformation began. Not with words, not with grand gestures, but in the stillness, in the breaking, in the silence you mistake for absence. His growth is happening beneath the surface, slowly, painfully, and invisibly. Like a forest regenerating after a wildfire, his spirit is rebuilding itself. It doesn't look like progress. It looks like retreat. It looks like collapse. But that collapse is sacred, because in letting go of the false, he is becoming someone real, someone capable of loving in the way you always knew he could, even when he couldn't see it for himself. This isn't a journey of running away. It's a journey inward, a journey to reclaim his soul, to rise as the man who can finally meet love with open hands instead of trembling ones. So if you're still wondering why he left, understand this. He's not avoiding the relationship. He's facing the rebirth it demands. And sometimes, becoming worthy of love means stepping away to learn how to carry it with integrity. Number 9. The sacred alchemy. His suffering is not without purpose. It may look like distance, withdrawal, or cold silence, but beneath that stillness is an inner transformation so profound it defies explanation. His pain is not just emotional, it's alchemical. It's not destroying him. It's dismantling the version of masculinity that was built on detachment, dominance, and emotional suppression. Every ounce of grief he feels is melting away the armor he once wore to survive. This isn't just heartbreak, it's a spiritual crucible, and it's reshaping him from the inside out. You may not see the war, but it's raging. Every day he wrestles with parts of himself he was taught to ignore: his fear, his longing, his vulnerability, and his love. The awakening he's going through requires a complete death of the disconnected self. The old masculine, the one who had to shut down, stay strong, pretend not to care, that identity is dissolving. And in its place, a more conscious, connected, and sacred masculine is trying to emerge. Even numbness now hurts. Even silence has become deafening. He tries to distract himself, to keep going, but nothing feels right anymore. The truth you once reflected back to him, the truth of who he really is, has left an imprint on his soul. And he remembers you, not in words or photos, but in the still moments when his mind is quiet and his soul begins to stir. Your presence haunts him, not as a ghost of what was, but as a flame still burning in the ashes of his becoming. The connection didn't end, it didn't fade. It was never abandoned. It entered the fire with him, and that fire is sacred. It is purifying, painful, and divine. He's still in it, burning, breaking, rebuilding. And while the world may never see this transformation, the soul knows. Love didn't destroy him, it initiated him. And the man rising from that fire will carry a depth he never had before. A depth born from pain, a love forged in flame, a self reclaimed through sacred alchemy. So if you've ever looked at his silence and mistaken it for apathy, think again. His absence is not emptiness, it's evolution. Every moment of distance, every quiet withdrawal, is a sacred descent into the fire of transformation. He's not ignoring you. He's confronting the shadows he never dared to face before. This pain, though hidden, is holy. It's not breaking him, it's remaking him. He is not lost, he's becoming. And when he returns, he won't be the version of him that left. He'll be a man refined by grief, awakened by truth, and softened by surrender. A man who no longer fears the weight of his own heart. A man who chooses love not as a refuge from pain, but as a path to wholeness. He will not just return to you, he will return to himself. And that return is the foundation of real, lasting union. But until then, your role is sacred too. Keep being the lighthouse, not by dimming your radiance to match his darkness, but by standing firmly in your light. Your wholeness is not a passive waiting, it's an active remembering of who you are. It's your alignment that signals safety to his soul. You are not waiting for him, you are preparing the frequency that will meet him when he finally arrives in truth. Let this message settle into your spirit. His silence is not the end, it's the beginning of his becoming. If this truth touched something deep within you, I invite you to type in the comments, "I see the silence now." Your voice might be the gentle affirmation someone else needs to hear today. If this video brought clarity, resonance, or healing to your heart, please don't forget to like, share it with someone who may need it, and explore the next video waiting just below the screen. There's more light to uncover, and your journey is far from over.